Comments, and then we'll open it up for questions.
It's great to be 2-0. Thought our kids came out and flew around early, man. They were flying around now. There was a lot of energy on both sides of the ball. The game got out of hand early, and then we, that's the tough part about coaching. We're trying to get better at some things, and you get in a situation, and I was harping on the whole time. I kind of chewed them out at halftime a little bit because there were some things we really wanted to work on and get better at. And but I thought I'm proud to be 2-0, proud to come up, and that crowd was phenomenal. The student section, the packed house was phenomenal. I don't know if I've been a part of an atmosphere like this in a long, long time, and I've been in some pretty big venues in my coaching career. That atmosphere out there today was unbelievable. And I'm proud of our guys, proud of this community, proud of the university, and excited about being 2-0. Fire away.
So, Coach, were you saying you're upset with them because they scored too many points too fast, so you couldn't work on things?
No, never be upset about that, John. As the game went on, there were some things offensively, especially running between the tackles, getting some work on some stuff we just haven't been able to do. And as the situation came up at half, the officials communicated to me that they would look at possibly going to 10-minute quarters. And where the game was at that point in time, I thought that was the right thing to do. And so they went into the head coach for Edward Waters, and obviously they agreed with that. And that's the right thing to do. So, no, I wasn't upset about it. I mean, I'm telling you, early in the game, our guys they were flying around. And obviously defense, 2 touchdowns today, and then we had a big play to start the game, throwing the ball, and shoot, no, I'll never complain about that. If I could take some to the next week, I'll take them with me, though, if that's what you're asking.
Talk about that defense. You mentioned 2 touchdowns today. They did the same thing last week, scored a defensive touchdown. How much of that do you guys preach, trying to, get your arms on the ball, picking up the ball, getting into the end zone, that kind of thing?
Well, I think the big thing is just swarming to the football. When you got a bunch of guys flying around to the football, good things happen. And that's what, standing behind it on the sideline today, that's what it looked like. It just looked like a bunch of black jerseys going 100 miles an hour. And usually when you do that, good things happen and the ball comes out. And if you've got a lot of hats around the ball, then there's that opportunity, for somebody to pick it up and scoop and score. Those things happen. Obviously, that's stuff they work on, but it's the big thing is just the effort, about how you play the game. And like I said, a lot of good things happen when you do that.
This day was so far in the future for so long for you. Was there a moment where it hit you today?
Yeah, coming out of the tunnel. Yeah, coming out of the tunnel. I don't know who I told the other day, but in my 2.5 years here, I jogged 3 or 4 times a week. And I always finish up right here at the locker room. And I'd walk out in the middle of that field about every time. And I kind of walk around and picture, what it was going to be like. And then we got around there, we had to wait a few minutes. We weren't even supposed to come out then, but they wouldn't come out. So finally, we just said, we're coming out before the game. And as soon as we hit it and the smoke came up and everything was going, that was kind of a moment. One of those moments you're like, holy cow, we're here. And it's different than the first game because this one's at home. And they're all important, but this one being at home was a different, and coming across and just the atmosphere you were in, it's kind of hard to put to words, to be honest with you. But yeah, I showed a little excitement. I don't know if y'all noticed. I gave a little fist pump, which for me is a good bit. But that was the moment. That was the moment for me.
Coming out of the tunnel, it looked like, from my viewpoint anyway, that the kids were locked arm in arm. Is that something that did happen, number one? And 2, was that just for today, or is that something you plan on doing for the game?
Didn't see it, didn't know what happened, nothing we had planned. So some kids might have done it, but I'm gonna tell you, we stood back there for a few minutes. They were ready to go. It's not like caging people up in the back and you won't let them on the field. They were ready to go. So as soon as we finally just said, hey, we're gone, I think they just took off. But none of that was planned and not something we planned on doing. I think we were pretty excited about coming out. The smoke and the band and the stands and the whole deal. And that's pretty neat.
Was it a challenge to kind of keep your guys on an even keel with the excitement level being so high it was today?
Yeah, and that's something we've talked a lot about. In fact, and when I talked to them before we got on the bus to come over here, that was a big part of what I talked about. Is again, it goes back to circumstances, and you know, I tell them too, we got to enjoy these moments because you know you'll never do it again the rest of your life. Not like this. We'll come out of the tunnel again, but we'll never do that again. So I told them, you enjoy it, man. Have a blast. And then when you go over sideline, let's get ready to play. And that's kind of stuff we've been talking about. And I'll give our guys a lot of credit. They've handled all that fairly well. You know, the expectation going into last week, even more so this week, because there's more distractions on a home game than there is a away game. And I was concerned about it, but golly, they've handled themselves fairly well when it comes to that stuff. So I got to give them a lot of credit on that. And, you know, they've done a good job of being mature about handling the circumstances.
Were you surprised to see your defense flying around the ball like they were? I mean, us out here, we were just like, man, these guys are putting hats on the ball.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know that I was surprised, but I sure loved it. You know, our guys, you know, the big thing we have, we can play hard. We can play as hard as anybody in the country. It was about maintaining for a period of time. We come out, I mean, even early in the game last week, we were the same way. Now, we weren't as assignment sound, I think, as we were this week as far as what we were doing, but they were now. It was, I mean, they were coming from everywhere. You know, I mean, and that's the way you like it. You know, that's the way it should be. So I was really impressed with that. Really pleased with it, the way we came out of the blocks. I was a little concerned coming in, you know, last week was emotional. This week, you know, I mean, there's a lot of emotion going on, and you wonder how they're going to respond. But boy, they were ready to go. They were ready to go.
You said there were a lot of things you wanted to work on. You said you wanted to work on missed assignments, efforts, like you said, getting the B-backs from the ball. How much progress in those areas do you think you made? And like you said, in week 1 and week 2, you think there'd be a big progress?
Yeah, we're going to have to go back and watch the tape and really evaluate to see where we are. We really worked hard. As you can see, once we got ahead, a lot of what we were doing was inside run, to continue to work to get better at that. We're not, you know, it's not that we're bad at it. We just know to be the kind of football team we want to be, and this is kind of what I talked to them about. There's certain things we need to be able to do. And as far as the effort and assignments, I know the assignments were better. There's no doubt about that. We'll have to go look at the tape as far as the effort. That's one of the things you kind of go back and grade. Like I said early on, I think everybody could tell the effort was pretty good because, you know, guys were just playing hard. They were flying around, having a good time, and enjoying the atmosphere. And I tell you, I think they fed off the fans. You know what I mean? When they come on the field, just that energy the fans were bringing to the game, I mean, to whatever they brought, they just added to it and made it even better.
Coach, did you know your quarterback was going to go in on that? Speaking of fans, joining the fans on a pseudo Lambeau League?
No. Had a little conversation with the whole offense after that, and you know what? I didn't really what I call barbecue them. I pulled them over. I said, guys, I appreciate your excitement, your energy. I said, but we got to be smart, and you know, because golly, they're playing with energy. Well, you don't want to. You know what I mean? They're excited about what's going on, and I'm not going to go take that away. And they got to be smart. And he knew he was wrong, you know, once he did it. And but gosh, you love the energy, you love the enthusiasm. You know, you can't beat that. But yeah, I didn't realize that actually what happened. Somebody on the headset said we got a celebration. Then as more information came across, and you gotta love Trey, man. He's feisty now. He is a competitor, and that's what you really like about him. He's a competitor now. He's going to fly around and play hard.
Speaking of Trey, he had 3 rushing touchdowns on the day. Is that, and a lot of them were, you know, 1-yard, 2-yard rushes. Were those designed, or is that Trey Collins' number?
No, most of that down there, we do a lot of just follow plays down on the goal line. It's just a quarterback ISO is all it is. So a lot of that's called. Most of the stuff we had, there was not anything I can remember off the top of my head that was just him just kind of, you know. So no, most of that was called down there.
He played late into the second half. Was there any reason behind that?
Say it again now.
Trey played pretty well deep into the second half.
Well, it really wasn't that deep when you think about it. So you got 10-minute quarters, and you look up, and all of a sudden there's 3 minutes to go. And what we were trying to do is get him a good series, and then we were going to get Jake in, and then we were going to get Chandler in. But when you go 10-minute quarters, man, you look up, and the game's over. And I'm trying to figure out if I was going to call timeouts, to be honest with you, at the end of the game. But I was trying to get other guys in the game. So we were trying to get some good work in. There were some reads at the end of the first half that we were getting good work on, and the half ended, and we talked about it right before we went off the field, and we're going to come back and really try to nail that down a little bit better, and that's just the way it unfolded.
You won the toss and chose to defer. I imagine that's the exact start you were hoping for when you made that decision with the defensive touchdown.
I mean, absolutely. I don't think you could draw it up any better. I'll take it every week. But it was good, and like I said, I'm pleased with our, the way our defense is flying around. Obviously, we'll go back and look at the tape and really check everything out. But I couldn't be happy the way they were flying around early, man. They were all over the place. I mean, those guys couldn't get a play off. So it was good. Yes, sir.
One more question about effort and the long run that the running back had, and your guy, you're up 50-something. They could have easily let that kid go on in and mail it in, but talk a bit about the effort.
It's play the game. Play the game. No two ways about it. Best play of the game. And I told him that when he came off sideline. Best play of the game. I mean, just like you said, in a lot of situations, everybody like, oh, he's in, he scored. I'm not going. This kid ran all the way across the field, and he just shows you about it. It's a great point we're going to make to our football team Monday morning. This is what it's about. You hustled all the way down the field, and you raked the ball out and kept them from getting in the end zone. No doubt, play the game. I told him that when he came off. Great coachable, teachable moment for our football team when we go back Monday morning and look at the tape. Huge. That's who we got to be here. You know what I mean? No matter what's going on in the game, you get 11 hats playing with that kind of effort, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
You guys waited for this season for a long, long time. 2 games in, you're averaging 57 points. Now, I know that as coaches, you guys can kind of control that in the locker room, but your fans don't know anything different. Do you try to temper expectations in any way? Do you want to build it up? How do you approach this? Because, now everybody's going to start thinking, well, shorter, they're Division II. Let's put 57 up on them.
Well, I can't worry about the outside world right now. What I worry about is our football team. And what we talk about every week is how we're going to get better. Last week, as I told you guys, it was all about effort and assignments. And listen, we don't even have team goals. All we talk about every week is getting better and laying the foundation for our program and doing things the right way. I'm going to, the football team, I can handle those guys. Those are the ones I worry about the most. But, man, I'm never going to apologize for being 2-0. You know what I mean? Man, we're 2-0. Winning's hard. I don't care who you play. It's not easy, And we're going out flying around with the expectation everybody we play is the best football team in America that day. And that's the way we got to go about it. And we are a young football team, And we have some guys that can make some plays. But we got to continue to get better every week. And whoever the next opponent is, the next opponent on our schedule. We don't control that right now. The schedule's the schedule. And we're going to line up and go play. We're going to get ready to go play next week. Obviously, we've got an in-state school coming in, which is another, obviously, big deal for us. But we're continuing to work to get better. And I can promise y'all, I'll get that across to our kids. I went in there, we had a big time after the game because we won. We got to celebrate a victory. We'll go correct the mistakes on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and all. I mean, we'll fix that. But shoot, man, we're it is what it is, man. We're 2-0. We're gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep getting better, and go from there.
More questions? All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Coach.
We'll bring in the players next.
Appreciate it. So nah, you got it.
You better move some microphones around.
Okay, we have starting from the far end, Trey White, Justin Sumter, Izzy Sam, Mackenzie Billingsley, and Derek Farrow. Trey, why don't you just start with some opening comments?
Yeah, thanks for coming, y'all. I thought it was, again, another great team win. Like Coach said, we're 2-0. It doesn't matter who we play, but I really think we made some huge improvements from week 1 to week 2. So, look, it was a great win, but we got to enjoy this and look at the film and move on to the next one.
I'll open it up for questions.
And I have a question for Farrell. Is that right?
Yes,
Number
sir.
12?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Congratulations on your effort today. You had, I think, 2 forced fumbles at the minimum today. Is that something that you did in high school a lot, or is it something you thought you developed since you've been here? And, just trying to get your hand in on the ball. You also the guy who, ran down that the running back, whatever, said he didn't score the touchdown and that kind of thing. So just talk about, like I said, is it something that you did in high school, forcing fumbles, that kind of thing, or you kind of developed since you've been here?
It was a thing that you develop as you go on. The coaches harp on always try to get the offense the ball and effort. He preaches effort every day, so I just try to go out there and take advantage of every opportunity.
Izzy, you scored the first touchdown at Fifth Third Bank. What did that feel like, and what were you thinking when the ball was on the ground?
Well, at first I thought he was down, but I just picked it up and ran. And it was a great feeling because my whole life I've never scored before, so that was definitely a great feeling.
And Izzy's been complaining that he hadn't been getting enough pictures and stuff at games, so I hope he got his pictures today.
But you're never like a running back in
I mean, I played running back a little bit, but I was usually just blocking, or if I caught the ball, I never scored, so it was the first time.
Justin, so what did you think of the atmosphere and just everything going on around the game?
It was everything that I expected. Everybody's family and friends were out there cheering you on. It was just a great feeling, going out there and representing the team and the school and the community. It was just a really great time.
Trey, you said earlier this week, you wanted to, your fans deserve this. What did your fans give you today?
Well, I mean, from the owl walk to kickoff, the place was rocking. The atmosphere was great. Obviously you can have an idea of, the places, our fans are going to be great, but you don't really know till you get there. And I thought our fans were great. They can be a little bit more quiet, more on offense, but I thought the atmosphere was unbelievable, and I can't wait to protect the nest again.
Trey, tell us about the Lambeau Leap.
Well, I've watched too many Brett Favre highlights, I guess, but look, I guess I know it was wrong, but in the heat of the moment, I know Coach Bohannon said he didn't barbecue me or barbecue us, but I'm sure when we get the film, I'll get barbecued.
That was your first touchdown of the day. You had 3.
Mm-hmm.
Was that something you kind of planned in the back of your mind, like, hey, it's our first game, I want to go celebrate with our students, or did it really just happen after you crossed the goal line?
It really just happened after I crossed the goal line. When I scored, I was looking straight at the student section, and their arms were open, and I went after it. That can't happen, obviously, but it was a great feeling, I'm not going to lie.
To any one of the defensive guys, you guys prevented them from crossing midfield up until the 4th quarter. Talk about what you guys did defensively and the energy you guys came out with.
Our goal for this game was to be very assignment sound, because last game we made a lot of mistakes. Even with the score, we made a lot of mistakes on defense, and our goal for the whole time this game was to be good with our assignments and just continue to improve as a defense.
Coach Newberry, he came up with a great defensive plan, and we wanted to get the ball back to the offense as much as possible.
For the defensive guys, talk about the energy that you came out of the gates with. You guys were flying around that field. Everyone in the stadium saw it. Was this something that you had the mental state was, let's get off the blocks very quickly as far as defense is concerned?
The way I look at it is energy is contagious, and if everybody's flying around, you're going to want to fly around too. Even if you don't do the right thing, if you're playing hard and you're flying around, you're going to make plays. So energy is contagious is how we think about it.
Mackenzie, you scored the second defensive touchdown, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First game in the stadium, you're basically playing at home. Is this what you came to KSU for?
Yes, I came to KSU to make history, but it's a way different environment for me. Defense played good assignment football, and Derek Farrell made an outstanding play that set me up for you know what I'm saying, a good touchdown. So.
Everybody else that we've talked to on defense that scored, Nick last week, first touchdown he ever scored, Izzy, first touchdown. Have you scored a touchdown?
No, this is my first. This is my first touchdown.
Justin and Trey, you guys have now linked up obviously in both your first two games. With the way the offense works, obviously throwing over the top is always usually an explosive play. Is this something that you guys are expecting now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, especially with the option, you know, if they're going to load people in the box, you know, we got to be able to attack people through the air. But to our passing game, I think, you know, all the credit has to go to the wide receivers. They work their tails off, especially Justin. I mean, those guys are working all day, every day in practice. You know, they don't take breaks. I mean, they're not missing any reps. So I think that correlates to the field. So I think Justin and as well as the other receivers deserve a lot of credit for that. Because it doesn't just happen. You know, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it.
This is for any of you. They always say the biggest growth is from week 1 to week 2. Assess the growth that you guys have from last week to this week.
Yeah, I think that's another thing. We got to see the film. You know, it was a great win, obviously, but you don't really know till you look at the film. You know, it's never as great as you think, and it's never as worse as you think. So we got to look at the film and take it with a grain of salt, and move on to next week.
Trey, I asked Coach, you know, you guys are averaging 57 after two games. I saw all the scrimmages. That didn't look like an offense that could average 57 points. I know
you didn't think so?
But he says he's never going to apologize for winning, and I don't expect you guys to do that either. But, you know, nobody knew what to expect coming out of the blocks, and you guys have lit up the scoreboard the last 2 weeks. When you are on campus now this next week, people are going to be coming up, you know, patting you on the back, this, that, and the other. How do you kind of temper things, not with you guys are going to be fine, but just all the outside noise when you guys are off to such a good start?
Yeah, and again, that's kind of part of this whole first year deal. I think. I mean, what do y'all think? I think again we got to take the win with a grain of salt, but you know, we keep each other accountable. I mean, I know the scoreboard, you know, was lopsided, but you know, the defense are going to call out our mistakes and during film, and you know, we'll call out theirs. But again, you just gotta. We can't get too cocky, but we gotta stay confident. I think that's one thing our group has is confidence, and we just got to make sure we toe the line between confidence and cockiness.
Hey Derek, could you kind of take us through the moment, like right before you guys ran out? Coach said he had to almost kind of keep everybody right before ran out. What do you remember leading up to that moment and right when you guys flooded out on the field?
A whole bunch of guys was jumping around, getting excited, ready to run out the tunnel for the first time ever in KSU history, and it's just exciting moment.
Yeah, just what's the emotion like when they finally say get out there and this is it? You guys have had that date circled for so long.
I mean, you excited. Excitement is what I can say to that.
I asked Coach this, he wasn't sure what the situation was, but it looked like you guys were arm in arm as you came out of the tunnel. Was that the case? Did you guys run out kind of locked in step?
We started off that way, but we felt like a bunch of dogs just locked in the cage, just ready to go out. So we're locked up for a little bit, but right when they let us out, it was just all out. Let's go.
For the defense, Coach Bohan on Wednesday said that Edward Waters had some really athletic guys, going to be a bit scary offensively, but today the defense looked like the scary athletic guys. Can you just talk about, again, how you take pride in swarming the ball and then being able to put up points on defense too?
For every game, well, we have like goals to get turnovers and play hard. And we really focus on assignment football. Everybody doing their job. So we feel like if everybody does their job, 100 miles per hour, we're going to make plays. And I feel like we did a good job of doing that tonight. And we had some mistakes, but we're just here to improve. That's what we're working on.
It kind of goes back to effort. If you do your job and get 11 guys to the ball every play, then defense, it will have a good game.
Did you guys feel that opening kickoff, the hit that running back took, set the tone for the game?
Definitely. Hit by Kyron, one of our linebackers. It was a great hit. Had us hyped.
Any more questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.